everything else. You know, she's a member of the committee, but that's what she handed everybody else, trying to say how, yeah, that you had to put certain precautions in and that kind of stuff. But I thought you might want to see that. I would have called you Sunday when I was going down, but we had a sick child, so I had to keep on going. All right?
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it was not mine, somebody else's, but I was bringing him back. I was going to drop it off to your house on Sunday. All right, no problem.
You gave me both sides of the house.
Agreement coming from this one. Agreement sure.
Hey, hello.
I'm sorry, you saying?
Seeing we have a quorum. We have a quorum. So I'd like to see, make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. Yep.
No quorum.
Yay, we start fairly on time.
I can't figure out how to get to it.
Somebody else. Anyone with experience in
This is very
MPP?
tough. This is very tough. The instructions is very simple. Pretty good. Is it a lot of sweet? Is it sweet? No.
So we now have a quorum. That's good. So I'm passing out the draft agenda. If there are changes, does anybody like to make a motion to move the agenda? If not, we could go home. All right, let's go home. Okay, so the agenda's been moved. Yes, if there are changes to it. Yeah, I saw John first. Hold on, let's wait till everybody gets home.
I like the adjournment time.
John?
Yeah, I would like to put on the agenda a motion concerning.
Yes, you could use the. Why don't you?
Use the microphone, please. Then Jamie could hear you. He's taking notes.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'd like to put on the agenda a motion about the committee should be open, meaning that if someone comes, 3 times, they should be allowed to be on the committee, so that all committees except I guess the search committee should be open.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a rule, all committees are open.
Are all?
No.
No, they're not all. The programming committee and the management search committee are not open.
He said except.
Except the search committee.
Right, the programming committee is not open, it's voted on. So.
That's why you would like to put it
Right,
on the
right,
agenda.
I know.
Okay.
So you wanted to list
Right,
them?
so where would you like to put that? And how much time will it take?
It shouldn't take long. I'm sure there'll be unanimous agreement in this, so,
Oh, certainly.
probably number 6. That the committee, if someone from the public comes and 3 times consecutively, then they would be a member of that committee.
Second.
Okay, yes? No. Should we? Oh, wait, we're dealing with Johnson first. Is there any objection to adding this to the agenda? 6, between 5 and,
After 5.
after 5, right?
Just a point of information on that.
I had my hand up, Mitch.
I know.
Point of information.
We're talking about this particular thing, yeah.
You can certainly add that to the agenda, however,
Right.
without prior notice, it will require a 2/3 vote to amend an already existing motion on that issue.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay.
Is there any objection to adding it to the agenda? Okay, there's an objection. Go ahead.
Yeah, the various committees were started out with you attend 3 consecutive and you're in rule. And they went on for a while, and then only the finance committee is left of those. There's a reason why there was then a new programming committee created that had people put on it. And I don't think it would help that one committee to have something like this. So I think that putting this on the agenda would just be a large waste of time.
Yes.
So there was an objection made. There are people who want to speak to this one way or the other. I mean, my own, I'm not, my own way I would rule is to put most of the things that people want on the agenda, and then we could argue the substance when we get to it. But
I think that would be the appropriate way of moving, is to put it on the agenda and have a limited discussion and vote on it, right?
But there has been an objection, so if there's no further discussion on this, we could go to a vote. Yes, Mia?
I had my hand up for another reason. Now, in terms of the agenda, a member said it needed 2/3 in order to get this on here. It is really not fair for the majority to put this out, minutes before now, and then, we're just supposed to sit here and just accept this. I think that you need to be fair and ask if people want to put motions on the agenda and give the minority an opportunity to put things out there. If we want to get along, close ranks and come together, as some people would like the PNB for me to do, to reach out to you guys, this is a really terrible way of starting. So we're just supposed to just sit here, you're just going to bring them, and then we're just supposed to take it. We asked to add something to the agenda and people are going to object. That's objectionable.
Okay, first,
I don't think that's fair.
first, there's no you guys here. Everybody has their own opinions on this.
The majority
Most-
on the board.
It also does not take a 2/3 vote to add something to the agenda. It takes a majority vote to put it on the agenda. Finally, in general, if anybody posts a motion that they want to the public listserv, this was not posted there, then I generally just add that in unless there's some major objection to it, and then let the board deal with that one way or the other. So there was nothing posted to the public listserv about this.
And also, I'm just speaking to this, but I did raise my hand for an item for the agenda.
we have to deal with this one first.
Right. I
So-
just don't want you to forget.
Yes, Carolyn?
Is there a vote in progress, or may I respond to the?
No, we didn't go to vote yet.
I think that I too would like to see an agenda, 3 or 4 days before, but that's hardly the point. This is the time to add motions to the agenda. Nobody needs 2/3 or needs to hesitate. I'm sorry if people haven't thought about it before they came to the meeting, but this is the time to add motions. If you have one, please do, and add it to the agenda now.
So is there any objection? There was an objection
Call.
to John. What?
Call.
I'm going to call it since there are no more hands up. So all in favor of adding John's amendment to the agenda, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And all opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, so that gets added. Okay. And Nia, you had another?
Yeah. Item 5, Management Search Committee and election to fill vacant listener seat. There was no notice given for this. Oh, sorry. So there was no notice given for number 5, Management Search Committee and election to fill vacant listener seat. I don't recall a notice being given for that.
There was no notice given for that. There were a lot of discussion about that. You, I believe, made the motion to fill the vacant seats on the Management Search Committee, but there was no formal motion on that.
Well, I did a little bit more than that. This has been going on now for 6 months, well, more than that actually, in order to reconstitute it. I mean, it's fine if we want to do that, we're going to reconstitute it, but this doesn't say that. It just says here to fill vacant listener seat. That was not at all, my conversation. I think it needs to be reconstituted fairly. Because Mitch, can I just say one more thing? Because if my memory serves me correctly, I'm getting a little old, so it might be failing me. If we vote now to fill just this one seat, it's a majority vote. So that means that the committee of, well, it's supposed to be 12, and there were 13. I'm trying to think, will there be any dissenting voices on this committee? It'll be a committee for this board. Democrats want, so it might be failing me. If we vote now to fill just this one seat, it's a majority vote. So that means that the committee of, well, it's supposed to be 12, and there were 13. I'm trying to think, will there be any dissenting voices on this committee? It'll be a committee full of the majority of this board. I don't think that that's democratic. And that's why I do object to it being on here rather than reconstituting the entire committee.
Kathy had a hand up.
I had a motion for the.
Excuse me?
Oh,
A motion related to this?
no.
Hold on, we're still dealing with.
Yeah, I just wanted to be on the stack because I put my hand up a couple of times.
I didn't see it.
I don't want to be overlooked.
Yeah, I don't want to make this a formal point of order and waste time over it, but I just want to very strongly remind you, Mitch, and the board that it's been the practice from the beginning of this board that whenever there's an election for anything, there's notice. So people can think about, do I want to run? Do I want to talk to a colleague on the board about running? None of us knew that there was a vacancy or that there's, or whether we knew there was a vacancy, we didn't know that there would be an election tonight. So just in respect of the long-standing practice and basic fairness, I think this item should be postponed to the next meeting. That's a different question than the overall status of the committee. So these are really two separate items that are kind of mushed together as one. So I have no objection to the management search committee as a topic, but I have the objection to actually holding an election tonight for the seat.
All right, so I'm fine if you want to strike the election from the agenda for tonight. Yes. Okay.
And then I'd like to go back, Mitch. And then I'd like to go back.
Wouldn't it be reasonable?
Turn it up.
Oh, sorry, you think I know that. Wouldn't it be reasonable to include the discussion of of the process for the election? And have that as the agenda item to be, to set up whatever that election would be? And then have the election the next time? That's just a suggestion.
Art Paul has his hand up.
Yeah, I agree with what Kathy says. If there's a need to put somebody or something on there, what we can do is we can discuss it, or at least give previous notice now, so that everybody knows it's going to happen. I don't know if we need to discuss it much, but you know, I agree with Kathy. So what I guess we should do is move to strike. Well, no, we don't have to. Let's say make it read and discuss the election, an election. Just add after end. Discuss an election to fill a vacant listener seat.
That's good.
All right? Sound feasible? Okay.
Chuck, could you
Did you
repeat
get
that?
All right. After the word "and" in number 5, just add "and a discussion of." So a discussion of are 3 words added between and election. So we'll read and a discussion of an election to, well, a discussion of an election is another word, to fill a vacant listener seat. That way we can talk about it, somebody can give previous notice, and we don't have to scream and yell.
Nia.
Okay, I mean, everybody has said basically what I said initially, that we can have a discussion about reconstituting, so that's fine. I can live with that.
Is any objection to R. Paul's, both Nia's and R. Paul's and Bob's amendment? Put them all together, it's all the same thing? Any?
Just a clarification,
Yeah.
If he's saying management search committee report and discussion on the election process, then fine. But the first part is a report, right, from the management search committee, and then a discussion about the process?
It could be.
Okay.
The other was more inclusive, includes a report and anything else, but it could go either way. Are there any objections to these changes?
Well, let's just make sure the wording of it is, we hear the wording of it, because I just heard reconstituting and a report from. A report from, is that correct? Just a
Changing
report
number
from?
5 to
Not a
management
report.
search committee report and a discussion of an election to fill vacant listeners, just vacant seats.
Point of,
So you're striking the word listener?
Yeah.
Actually, you can't, you're chair.
Trying to interpret what people meant.
Well, I just added those words exactly, so I didn't strike this.
He didn't say that.
Yes. Yeah, Carol?
Yeah, I don't have a report written because we have not met in quite some time, so you can strike report from that.
Should we just put this whole thing off till the next meeting? This whole topic? Well, that would, but that would, if it's changed to a report, right? Take out the word report and then we'll have the discussion.
That word isn't in there.
Okay, any objection to? Okay, there's one objection. So we go to a vote.
Wait, let's hear what we're voting on exactly.
We're voting that we're going to vote right now for number 5, management search committee, and the discussion of an election to fill the vacant seats.
All right. Who removed listener? Because I didn't hear.
I removed listener.
Okay, you're not able to. You're chairing. You can't make an amendment.
All right. Anybody else want to remove listener? So that we have a general discussion?
Yes.
Okay, there's a motion to do that. Yes, to remove the listener. To remove vacant seats, to just discuss it rather than to, anyway.
You can discuss it anyway.
We'll get to that one.
You just
All in favor of removing the word listener there? All in favor of removing the word listener there? This is an amendment. You have a question? On what?
Just moderating.
No. Is there any objection to removing the word listener from that?
Yes.
There is. All right, I don't know what that is. All in favor of, we'll go to a vote. All in favor of the motion to remove the word listener from that, so that would we just discuss vacant seats? Raise your hand.
And can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, manager.
Why would you want to remove
Yeah, we're starting.
the listener from that? Why
The reason, all right, let's take a step back. The reason I added that was because there was one listener seat that was open. All the rest were filled. But that's why it was in there to begin with.
So why do you want to remove it now?
I don't. There's a motion. I do, actually. There was a motion made to have a general discussion of all the vacant seats, of how the whole thing works.
No,
I didn't hear that motion.
The motion was,
Constitute has been mentioned.
To have,
That was the original motion. That was Nia's original motion.
Okay. Now, is to have the discussion. Kathy, you're not supposed to name board members, but Kathy, Janet, who else back there, Bob and Isaac, to have a discussion. We've used that word discussion so many times. So the motion is to have a discussion about the management search committee. I'm, okay. I don't know what you said, but I know what I said, is to have the discussion on this.
there were two parts. Yes.
And a discussion of an election.
And, the word and is in there.
Yes, after the word and. 4 words.
Right.
My amendments add 4 words. They are a discussion of and. That's it. That was my amendment.
Anyway, it's time to
Can I ask
Let's-
a question?
Yes.
About this
Well, we'll
motion?
Yeah.
What is the discussion?
4 words.
We're just talking about whether or not to put it on the agenda.
No, but I know, but I would like, in order for you to vote on putting something on agenda or not, is that I want to know what kind of discussion, what discussion is necessary.
You don't know ahead of time. It's whatever people want to bring up, they can bring up in a discussion, an open discussion.
She must know what it's about.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking about talking about electing, for vacant seats on the committee, but I don't understand the discussion anyway. That's the reason for the discussion.
the reason is because no one was notified that they had to fill this.
No, we notified that repeatedly, that there were empty seats on the board, that's all. But, or an empty seat.
Is it 9 o'clock yet?
All right, so we're going to a vote on whether or not to include this item, the amendment first on the agenda.
Can you state your understanding?
The First Amendment is freedom of speech. No, the First Amendment is to strike the word listener from there. That was Bob's.
Suggested by the chair.
Yes, suggested by Jeff. If we want to withdraw, we can withdraw it. I don't care. All in favor of striking the word listener there, so there would be a discussion of vacant seats.
I'm sorry.
Please raise your hand.
Yeah,
so
1, 2,
let it be more
3,
open.
4, 5, 6.
6, all opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so that fails. Now we go to the next, our Paul's amendment, to add the words, a discussion of an election. Is there any objection to that? Seeing none, that passes. Okay. Now Kathy had her hand up, and then.
And I did.
Yeah.
I have a motion I'd like to add.
And so do I. And Mitch, I have a point of, it's
Point of something.
more or less a point of order.
More or less? Well.
Did I have the
Yeah,
floor?
Kathy had the floor.
Okay.
Our call called for the orders of the day. So if folks want to extend more time on this discussion before you talk, people could make that motion to extend time.
Well, can I say something about why time needs to be extended?
No, you can't.
Well, it has to do with the mistake that the chair made.
You still can't. The orders
So
of the
that's
day
why
will
what I said it was sort of a point of order, because the chair didn't follow procedure in this agenda. So can I address that? I'll make it a point of order then.
No, the call for the orders of the day has been made.
Okay, point of order.
Go ahead, Bob.
It's been the practice of this board, and it's, as far as I know, it's the proper procedure in a body like this, that when a body votes for an agenda at the preceding meeting, and time does not allow the body to get to every item, that when the chair is constructing the next agenda, the starting point is what was left on the last agenda. You don't let everything collapse, and then, especially when there's a 20-minute time limit that's a permanent rule, and just say, oh, well, every single thing that you moved last time to add to the agenda, you have to start from scratch, move to add it yet again, debate it, and then have this fiasco we have now, which is, oh, sorry, time is up, so you can't even bring back something that the body agreed by a majority last time should be on this agenda. So I'm asking the chair to fix that mistake and just say that he's amending his proposal to include the 2 items, and I'll give them to you, that were agreed by majority vote should be on the last agenda. They should be on this agenda in the same position they were voted to be on at the last agenda.
Alex?
Point of order. Yeah, that's entirely incorrect. Every session has the right to set its own agenda. What normally happens is that agenda items that we didn't get to at the last meeting go into unfinished business. And if you want them higher up on the agenda, you have to make a motion to bring them higher up on the agenda, and the body has to approve it.
That's fine. That's essentially what I was just saying. But the point is that it would be on the agenda rather than being forced to be debated and voted again to be on the agenda. That the chair will put it forward as the draft agenda.
I have a point of information.
Are you following the distinction?
Yeah, I understand. I don't know what you're referring to. It certainly was not intentional on me, but
well,
on my
I'm not
part.
saying it was intentional. I'll give you the 2 motions. It's from Jamie's minutes.
All right, but then I'll also add.
Would you like to hear them
Kathy
now?
To do it, and then we'll.
Would you like to hear them now? Or
No, I'd
later?
like to have Kathy state her motion.
Okay.
What she wanted to have on there, and then we'll go back to that.
I wanted to add to the agenda a report back from the P&B from the meeting at the P&B.
Which number would that be?
I would make that number 5.
Point of order.
Yep.
I don't mean to be difficult, but if we're going to enforce the rules, they've got to be apply to all. So either Kathy, we ran out of time and Kathy can't add something, or we didn't run out of time and any of us can add something, because I actually have a motion that I also wanted to add, but time was called. So which is it? You can't give it to one and not the other.
Time was called. I was allowing Kathy out of fairness because you were about to add some stuff also.
No. I was not.
Through
No.
the mechanism of a point of order.
Excuse me, you got it wrong. I was not discussing adding new things at that time. I was discussing restoring the status quo. Okay? Now I have a separate point because Kathy wants to add something.
No,
new,
we're
which
gonna
is
go
fine.
to a vote first and see if people want to add more time, or else these things will not be talked about at all, neither Bob's
As
nor
long as
Kathy's.
it's an even-handed application.
Right. So, is there a motion to extend time on forming the agenda?
So moved.
I move to extend for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, I guess it's seconded. Is there any objection? Okay, so Kathy's, so that we're extended for 5 minutes. Kathy wants to add number 5 as a report back from the PNB. Okay, is there any objection to that?
I have a point of information. When you say it's number 5, you mean before the management search committee thing?
I do.
So
And
is it-
there was no objection?
Right, there was no objection.
Question?
Yes.
How long is allocated
Good
for?
question. How,
I don't know, yeah,
Okay.
20 minutes.
you think 20 is? I guess that would include then discussion of what's happening on the national level. Is that why it would be so long? Or-
And I didn't add the minutes, I just took it as a suggestion. It could be less, in which case we wouldn't need it, right?
Right. But, you know, we will flow into whatever time is allowed. So, do you want to change the 20 minutes, or? Okay, 20 minutes. Any discussion, any objections to adding 20 minutes to this item? Okay, seeing none, that passes. Bob, you had your 2 things that you said that I had left off?
Right. Okay, so from Jamie's minutes, it was a motion to, regarding the PD, okay. Well, yeah, the motion regarding PD search committee, I guess that should be understood to be just part of the management search committee item. So as long as that's clear, that can be.
There is no PD search, it's management search.
Right, so that can be included under that discussion,
Yes.
correct?
All right.
Okay, and then the second one was Danielle Vila had a motion regarding programming. Programming changes that have happened.
Was it specific? I don't recall. Was it specific or?
It was, he had a motion. And I believe it was, Jamie's notes don't say, but I think it was 10 minutes.
Okay. Is there any objection to adding that as to under old business?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah. Unfinished business?
How can we discuss Daniel's motion if he's not here?
Oh, unless somebody
Because
else knows
I
about
could
it.
bring it if he doesn't arrive, I'll bring it.
It's not his, he doesn't own that motion.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter, it's a topic.
It's unfinished business number 8?
Yep. Okay, is there any objection?
To the chair doing what he's supposed to do? No.
Excuse me?
To the chair doing what he's supposed to do? No. No.
Come on. I want to talk about that too, that's not right. So, okay, so that passes, seeing no objection. Jamie?
We're gonna need to say the current agenda says adjourn at 9 p.m. Well,
Mike?
No, we just extended 30 minutes.
we'll make it 9:30.
Can you talk faster? Talk faster.
Can we use Mike's?
Okay, so what, did you have a motion? You wanted to change the adjournment time?
Well, I've been advised by smarter people.
So you can't
Okay,
think
so
for
you're
yourself.
withdrawing it. Yes, Nia? Nia?
Did you mean me?
No, I saw Nia, no? Okay, if Nia said no.
See your hand up. Okay, so I would like to add a motion on forming a management evaluation committee. And I would like that to be placed right after number 5, right after the management search committee. 10 minutes.
Second. From a management
Would that
evaluation.
be 5 p.m.?
Okay, is there any objection
Would
to
that be 5A now?
adding management?
Yeah, this would go before the open meetings motion.
No, it's,
4A and a 5A.
right, this is 5A.
No, we have
10
5 and we have 5. We have 5 as a report to the PMB, report of PMB, and then would be 5A management search, and then would be 5B.
Correct. No, the PNB was 4A, is between 4 and 5.
It's just a different way of saying this.
You just read the.
Yeah, I can tell you what we have.
Please.
You have 4 is treasurer's report, then 4A the PNB report, 5 management search committee, 5A would be the management evaluation committee.
Thank you.
And 5B would be the open membership on the committee, as we voted earlier.
Yes.
Wait, what?
John,
No, that's
that was
correct.
the first, that's correct.
So yeah, the
Right,
committee
I-
membership would be 5A, and then this would be 5.
Yeah, I said there was something.
No, I asked for, my motion was for it to go above the
Oh,
open
okay.
committee,
I got you.
open membership.
So,
It goes
any,
prior to the membership after.
Jamie, could you repeat it and also print out a copy?
Or the volunteer for membership, right?
Could you repeat
There's
it
another
time?
Oh, there's another one?
Do you want me to? Okay,
Yeah.
so we have 4 treasurer report, 4A PNB report, 5 management search committee, 5A management evaluation committee, 5B committee membership from Franklin.
Okay, is there any objection? Okay, time has elapsed. Can we go to approval? Is there any objection to the agenda as amended? Seeing none,
Yeah,
we now go to it. You object to the, we're in the middle of a vote, so we're just going to go to the vote then.
well, you say, I have a point of order. Can we add up with the times that we have to be sure that we have enough time? Because we've been allocating 10 minutes, 15
That's,
minutes.
we're in the vote.
But what's the purpose of adding something if it's if it doesn't fit? with
That's, yes, let's, yeah, let's go to the vote if there's,
Point of order, Mitch.
yes.
Point of order. Jamie said we should go until 9:30, so is this part?
No,
of
he
the
withdrew
vote?
it, he withdrew that.
Advised to withdraw.
What happened?
He was told what to do.
Well, he's not yelling out to call for the order of the day, we're trying to do something logical. John,
Yeah, this is
Mitch, could you
actually,
please tell me to
there's,
be quiet? This is still totally illogical.
right,
Can
but
we be
we're in the
quiet?
middle of a vote on whether or not to accept the agenda. And,
My point of order is, John is absolutely right. It is illogical if we have all these things.
there's
to
lots
have
of things that are
interactive-
illogical, but that are in the
I-
agenda.
You are correct about that.
So, is there objection to the agenda as it stands?
Yes, because I don't know how many minutes
Yes.
this is.
Okay, there is an objection. Hold on, so now we go to a vote on it.
32,
All in favor of the agenda as it stands?
Can there be a discussion?
No, because already time has elapsed. If time hadn't elapsed, then yes, but because time elapsed, there's no discussion.
87. How many minutes was management evaluation?
All in favor of the agenda as amended, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. 10 to 5.
6, 7, 6.
So now we go to excused absences. We're probably going to get to most of the things anyway, John, I think, but yes.
Can I have a motion to add time to this, to add a half an hour, 9:30?
It's too late now.
This is exactly what I said. He said it was too late.
Oh, I thought you could add time,
That's
extend
what I
the
said,
time.
and he said
But
no.
maybe we extend it in between. Because we can't fight this. We can add time when we are short of time, we can add time then. Okay, thanks.
Then it'll take 2/3.
Yes, it will. It
And
would
it's
take a
59
2/3
on
vote
the
to
actual
change
motion.
the agenda.
Because they don't want things discussed.
There is no they here. Some
That's
people
you
fall on all different
and
sides
Jamie,
on this
whoever
one.
advised Jamie.
Okay, we go to excused absences. Anybody have any excused? Yes, Nia.
I have Father Lawrence Lucas, and for the record, today is, I don't know.
Ash Wednesday.
Oh, Ash Forehead Wednesday, and I'm not mimicking that, but I think we should be sensitive to these holidays. Please stop.
you're right.
Will he please, can you need to tell him to stop?
Oh, okay.
You're out of order. There's no shouting. No, not only you. There won't be any shouting out.
He never
Yes.
was. I'm just, that we should be aware of this. If it's a holiday, I'm not religious, so it doesn't really matter to me. But out of respect for all the holidays, religious, Christian, Muslims, whatever there are. I don't know.
Are there excused absences that you're?
Father.
Father Lucas. Okay, is there any other? Yes, Steve. Elizabeth Brown.
Ray LaForest.
Ray LaForest.
Teresa Palmer.
Teresa Palmer.
You heard me, Camille Yarborough?
No, I didn't hear you. Camille.
Yes.
Okay. Camille Yarborough. Yes.
Yeah, Russell Dale.
Russell. Okay, are there any objections?
Oh, I'm sorry, and Danielle.
And Danielle Vila. Yes, Jamie will read it off.
I have.
Use the mic, please.
I have Lucas, Elizabeth Brown, Ray LaForest, Teresa Palmer, Camille Yarborough, Russell Dale, Daniel Viola.
Are there any objections to excusing these absences?
Did you say Elizabeth?
Seeing none? Okay, they're excused. Approval of minutes. I don't know if we have copies, actually.
I would have printed them out had I known earlier.
Mitch, I would like to ask that we postpone this because I told Jamie I couldn't open it. This was sent at almost midnight. And I was just looking at it when I was sitting here and I couldn't open the attachment, so I moved that this be postponed to the next meeting.
So, any objections to postponing? Point of what?
Point of information before we go to the next. And that is that Jamie had put out a query, if I remember right, Jamie, about the point of order at the beginning of the meeting. Did anyone have a roll call? Is that right?
Yeah, actually, I got that.
Okay, well, could I ask that in addition to adding the roll call, that it also state what the point of order was and what the chair's ruling was? So it doesn't just say John Brinkley point of order, it says point of order, such and such needs to be changed, says such and such.
Okie doke.
Thank you.
Okay, any objections to postponing this? Seeing none, it's postponed. Treasurer's report.
Okay. Wow, okay. I probably will need a microphone.
There's one right.
Okay. All right.
Are there copies of the treasury report?
No, this is a verbal treasurer's report.
Is that the way it's done?
We have, that's
Sometimes.
7 years, most of the time, yeah.
I'm new and I'm.
Okay, Mr. Chair, do I have the floor? Do I have the
Right.
floor, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, let me just, one sec, I'll pause. Usually it's verbal, sometimes it's in writing. If we could request it in writing if we like. I prefer it in writing myself. But Paul has handed in 3 written reports in a row, so.
All right.
Hand it out.
All right, Pacifica is way behind on some of its bills, and this is becoming very serious. I think maybe the next item will probably address that. WBAI has gotten a warning letter from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. We have to either raise our average quarter hour or our listener support income. If we don't do that, we will have 25% of next year's CPB money restricted, and it will be required that we spend it on raising more money or raising the average quarter hour. From what we've seen the past couple of weeks here, this could end up being moot for next year because the Republicans are liable to start slashing and burning CPB completely, which would be a very bad thing for Pacifica. We rely on that money. In my calculations, and this is based on information from Lynn Magno at the National Office and reversing what the CPB says their calculation is, their formula is, it looks like we need something on the order of $950,000 or so more in FY11 in listener support to avoid the problem. And the average quarter hour part is more difficult to calculate. I calculate something close to 7,000 more listeners in the average quarter hour, and the general manager thinks it's closer to 10,000. So these are large challenges. The money might actually be easier to get than that AQH. The NFC, the National Finance Committee, has met on November 16th, 30th, December 7th, 15th, and 21st, January 6th, 11th, and 13th. Mostly we were concentrating on the various station budgets. One of the big problems was that KPFK could not get its draft budget to the NFC, and so the NFC still has to deal with the KPFK FY11 budget, even though FY11 began on October 1st. Eventually, the NFC passed with some extra codicils the WBAI budget for FY11. There are objections to our not paying all the central services and resistance to not having a surplus in there. But in the end, some version of it got passed by the PNB. The NFC met again last night, and we have set up a meeting schedule. We'll be meeting twice a month for the rest of the duration of the current PNB. And so the next meeting is on March 22nd, Tuesday. And there's a goal of getting the FY12 budgets done much earlier this year. And there's also a complicating factor that I'll bring up again. Stations have to move. WBAI's lease is up on December 31st, 2012. We had previously been informed that WPFW's lease was also up right about then. However, last night we were told that in fact WPFW's lease is up in July of 2012. They're hoping that they can move it to the end of that year, but there's no guarantee yet, so that's new information. The issue here is that no station in Pacifica has ever been able to move all on its own. It's always required that Pacifica kick in significant money. Various stations, it's always six figures, and it was six figures 15 years ago. It's going to be a serious six-figure deal now. In fact, an evaluation we had done was that it's going to be 7 figures. So for BAI to move is in some estimations, very expensive. The thing is, WPFW has to move because their building is being demolished, so there's no choice there. So there are various proposals to either extend WBAI's lease or somehow find a place and move, but I don't see two stations being able to move, given that Pacifica, as I said before, can't pay all its bills. So this is a very serious thing, and it's part of the FY12 budget. The Finance Committee, we had a meeting on February 22nd. We went over a number of issues and questions which were brought to the committee. We just barely started to go over the FY10 third and fourth quarter actuals to prepare a report for the LSB, such as we did last year for the first half of FY10. However, at the NFC meeting last night, the NFC members made it a priority to do that kind of a report for the first quarter of FY11. So we're going to have to put last year in the back burner and get on to doing the first quarter of this fiscal year for a report to the PNB. These things are extremely useful in looking at the budgets, and we really need to pay a lot more attention to budget compliance. So at our next meeting, the plan is to deal with that and also talk about this CPB situation. Now, we have motions from the Finance Committee because people may remember that the Treasurer's report hasn't always happened at all meetings. So we have a number of motions that I have to bring to the floor. First motion is the Finance Committee requests that the LSB, and they would like it to go to the NFC, pass this motion. Quote, no family member or live-in partner of any manager be paid as either a freelance contractor or as a wage person. That's the first motion.
Arpaul, let me interrupt for a second. Does this need to be voted on here?
Yeah.
At the LSB?
Yes, the Finance Committee voted to bring various motions to this floor, so this is here now. As it says, it asks the Finance Committee the Finance Committee requests that the LSB and later the NFC pass the motion. And the motion is, again, no, quote, no family member or live-in partner of any manager be paid as either a freelance contractor or as a wage person, unquote.
Point of information.
Well, this executive session, I listened, I didn't hear that.
Point of information.
Sure.
Is that the only motion you have?
Nope.
Would it be possible to hear all the motions?
So if the chair prefers that we run all the motions down.
Yes, yes.
All right. Here are the motions we have.
And just to be clear, this comes from the BAI local station board, not the national, right?
So this is coming from the WBAI Local Station Board's
WBAI.
Finance Committee,
Right.
which meets at WBAI, yes. All right. The Local Station Board Finance Committee. Okay, I've read the first one. Second one is that the LSB asked management or Pacifica for a list of each office and tower rental payments since January 2008, including the period when debt was incurred and dates payments were due, mailed, and cashed. Third motion, that the LSB ask WBAI management if any WBAI funds are involved in this solicitation by the Conflict Resolution Committee, and if not, remove it from the website, and furthermore ask that any fundraising efforts that do not go through WBAI be removed from the website. Number 4.
What's a conflict resolution?
Number 4, the Finance Committee requests that management provide a report on what plan of action it has undertaken or will take to recover unpaid pledges. Number 5, the Finance Committee requests that management provide a report on what plans of action it has undertaken or will take to deliver the backlog of premiums owed to contributors and an update on what they've accomplished to that end. And finally, number 6, the Finance Committee recommends that, okay, well actually number 6 we passed last time. Okay, so it's only 5. Number 6 has been passed already. All right, those are 5. So how does that chair want to handle this?
I have a point of information.
Yeah, why don't we take questions and questions first? So, yeah, Jamie, and then discussion.
Didn't we?
Hasn't management given us some reports of plans of action it has undertaken or will undertake to recover unpaid pledges and to deliver the backlog of premiums and an update on what they've accomplished to that end? I know we've gotten some of that information.
Sure.
Do you want me
Well,
to?
some of this has certainly been at least partly answered, but the thing is, I'm required to bring the, when I finally get the time here, I'm required to bring the motions from the committee. And so there, I mean, the committee, it's up to the LSB to decide how it wants to deal with the 5 motions. So what would the chair suggest? Do we want to lump all this? Do we want to
No, we
What do you
go
want?
through them one by one.
Okay.
And just to answer Jamie's further is, and I know Bernard has asked for this online as well, Bertold has finally forwarded the pledge fulfillment rate and efficiency of mailing paid pledges going back to the nifty chart. It should be open to all, visible to all, going back all the way to 2004, full drive of 2004. And we really, people should look at that and look at those figures.
Point of information?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, will you please let us know where, everybody know where they can be
It was
found?
on the public, it was sent to the public listserv.
Thank you.
The topics included on there, did everybody see it? It included the number of pledges, which in the current drive are way up. The pledge numbers are 8,500 pledges were made compared to 6,500 a short time ago. And so forth. And it goes through the number of pledges, pledge fulfillment, credit, broken down credit card, non-credit card, and then the backlog of premiums, how many were paid for but not shipped yet, you know, so what is the backlog in that, and so forth. So it's all a pretty good chart, and we did discuss what this all means in the course of the discussion. And we could discuss it also next time as well, so people have a chance to look at it, and the newer figures from the current fund drive that just ended will be available. Yes, go to Bob.
Okay, a few things. First, on the your last point about the information made available, I appreciate that, and I know other board members appreciate that that's now available online in a limited way. The problem is that you have to subscribe to the Finance Committee's listserv in order to even look at it. And so I would ask the chair, ask you, Mitch, to consider adding that information to the board, the LSB page.
I thought it was on there. If it's not, I'll add it.
No, it's in a very difficult to find. You have to go through multiple steps and put your name in, which people shouldn't have to put their name in, etc. So that's point one. Point two is that the last Finance Committee meeting, which Paul didn't mention, we passed a motion for two other pieces of related but different information about the expenses of pledge drive to be made available by management. So hopefully that'll be forthcoming soon.
Well, let's see if we can.
And third is that I'm just a little concerned that several of these 5 motions that our Paul mentioned are many, many months old. Now I know there's been times that the treasurer's report was not on the agenda, but there's been times since then, if I'm not mistaken, that it was. And I just think we need an ongoing practice that, well, I would actually say an ongoing practice that there's a treasurer's report at every meeting unless the treasurer says the committee hasn't met. But that should just be routine. Things should not be stacking up to the point that now that some of these things may even be moot or partially moot because, you know, they were in the context of events a year ago. Last thing is I have a question for our Paul about, you mentioned that when the National Finance Committee approved the budget for BAI, it added codicils. Could you state what those codicils are, and did the full board approve those codicils?
All right, well, I call it a codicil. There was stuff in executive session that was added. And of course, it being an executive session, I can't talk about it here. So that's, you know, it was in the executive session stuff that they added.
So just to follow up, so in the public meeting then, there was nothing changed, not a single change was made in the public part of the budget?
On the NFC, they basically accepted it with some stuff that happened in executive session. I mean, you're sort of boxing me in on something here. I can't discuss the executive session.
I'm not asking you to.
Well, actually, to a point, you kind of are, because there are. It isn't exactly what we sent them. There's some other stuff. Okay?
Okay, well, can I ask Alex then, when it came to the full PNB in public session, I'm only asking about the public session, was there any change made to the BAI budget?
No. Not that I'm aware of, anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Alex was next.
Okay, I just, I don't know, just on, yeah. I just wanted to, I don't know how we can deal with all these motions. It sounds like it's too much to deal with in the limited time we have, but the first motion, I think that it may be well-intended, but it's really stepping on the toes of personnel policies. And that personnel policies are set by Pacifica. They can't be set by local station board finance committees or anything like that. It may be that I don't know exactly what our personnel policy says on these matters. It may say something very similar to what this motion says, but it sounds like, this motion sounds like there's no way to qualify it. And there may be circumstances in which you may want to bring someone on board who has some kind of live-in relationship with someone else, provided the people know about it and so on. I don't know. I think it's ill-advised to try to present a personnel policy from the finance committee, that's all.
Yes, Neo was, well, Neo is next, then I have John. You could switch it if you. Neo.
I apologize for eating. Then I would like the personnel-related motion, I would move that that be referred to the P&B's Personnel Committee. Manny J. seconded.
Point of order, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, I really wouldn't object to that, but we're the LSB. We cannot refer to the PNB's committees.
Well, we
can
do.
recommend the PNB to do it, but we cannot actually make a motion to refer here.
We can say recommend.
You can make a recommendation.
We can recommend, but
Right.
we can't make a motion to refer ourselves.
Yeah.
It ain't our committee.
Listen, I'm sorry, Mitch, may I speak?
Yep.
At this point in our local station board careers, I assume that everybody understood that.
John?
Just had a quick question, not related to the motion. This 950K short of